Welcome to our first episode of 24 of the Moto Geo Adventures. And this time it's not me on my bike, but it's somebody else. So let's get into it.
My name is Jess Stone, and I'm from Canada, and I'm riding around the world with my 75-pound German Shepherd on the back of my bike.
Now, I met Jess back in 2002 when she went to the Revzilla Fest in the Mojave Desert, and I was there with Alpine Stars and immediately fell in love with what she was doing. I said, whenever you're coming through Los Angeles, let me know, because I'd love to talk to you. Jess is riding around the world basically with her dog and raising money for a great charity. She hadn't even been riding long at all when she set off on this incredible journey with her husband. Her husband's doing a lot of the filming and behind-the-scenes support. Most of the focus is on Jess and her dog. So there's nobody better than to tell you the whole journey, the story, than Jess herself. So here's Jess and Moxie.
I've been riding for about 10 years now, and I wanted to take my German Shepherd on a bigger adventure. I got Moxie when we were living in Guatemala, and I needed to find a way to take her along with me, and I only had 2 wheels. I didn't want a sidecar, I didn't want a trailer, so I had to find a way to bring her along. And that's how we came up with the K9 Moto Cockpit, which is her motorcycle dog carrier that she rides in. What better way to show off the carrier and have an amazing adventure than to go around the world with your Shepherd? So when I decided to do the around the world trip, I knew that I wanted it to sort of mean something. Like everybody wants to do an around the world. It's something that adventure riders, everybody dreams of it. But because I was an aid worker, I had had my eye on Girl Up, the nonprofit, for a long time. And they do great work around the world. So I thought, well, why not do a fundraiser for them and try and raise $100,000 for these girls and just be able to sort of share what I'm doing. And hopefully that'll be an inspiration for them to sort of continue to dream big and persist to achieve their goals. And that's really what this trip is all about.
When did it all begin for you? How did it all start?
My husband now, Greg, we met in South Sudan. We were international aid workers. So we were living in Africa for a number of years. Then we moved to Liberia together, and it was like a new relationship. We were just getting started. He had done a LA to Panama trip, but then ran out of money and couldn't get to South America. So his dream was always to sort of complete that trip. So he said he was going to do that in a year's time, but I could come along, but I'd have to learn how to ride my own bike. So in Liberia, West Africa, he taught me how to ride. We bought these 160cc bikes, little TVSs, little Indian bikes, and rode around. And I had about 1,000 kilometers under my belt before we went to LA, bought this bike that I have now, the BMW G650 GS, and we started off on our own north to south trip.
Life on the road, how are you finding it?
We generally try and do like 6 to 8 hours of riding a day. We did do an iron tail or an iron butt, a saddle sore 1000. So we did 1,000 miles in 24 hours. It actually took us 19 and a half hours from Albuquerque to Jamestown, California. And so Moxie was a trooper the whole time. Like every 100 miles, we would stop, we would fill up, she would get down, and then she'd jump right back on. And she was awesome until like the last maybe 300 miles. Then she started using my shoulder as a snout rest. She would rest her big head here because she was getting sleepy at like hour 16, 17. That's sort of her limit. And it was a great way to sort of test out how much Moxie can last in the cockpit and how far we can get.
Now, part of the women's sphere is one thing, but you're also a part of the pet.
Yes.
You have a dog that wears doggles and gets a
Yes.
lot of attention. So
Yes.
tell me how that's been riding with your dog.
Okay, so you can't go like incognito when you ride with a dog. Like the dog is like the key thing that people will see when you're riding along. And it's funny because even on the freeway, when you're going at speed, you're going to get somebody who comes up beside you, takes their phone out and wants to film you as you pass. We get tagged a whole bunch of people seeing us on the road and wanting to share it. It's great because they're so excited about it. Like it's such a fun and different thing to see, and it puts a smile on people's faces. And dog lovers, like they understand. Dog lovers and motorcyclists, people who love both of those things can appreciate that you want to take your best friend with you wherever you go. And the cockpit makes it possible. So when people see us, it's like, this is exactly what you should be doing with your dog when you want to go on adventures. We started the trip March 5th from Guatemala, from Panajachel, which is a beautiful lake surrounded by 3 volcanoes, which is where we were living. So we started March 5th. We've made our way up through Guatemala and through Mexico. We crossed the border into the U.S. at El Paso and Ciudad Juarez. Everyone says Juarez is dangerous. Oh my God, it was just easy peasy. And now we've been making our way through the states. We've done a few events, and so we're on our way north now from California. The goal is gonna go up the PCH. We'll get into Seattle, where one of the Girl Up clubs is where they are, and we're gonna meet with them and chat with them. And then we're gonna continue north through BC, through the Yukon, into Alaska. And the goal is to reach Prudhoe Bay by mid-July. So we still have some time. It's not as much time as we'd like, but we're going to try and make it for the tip of Alaska there. Well, it's funny because originally we said it was going to be 18 months. But the thing is, the way that we're traveling 4 days out of the week and we're working 3 days out of the week. So in order to get our video series going, in order to keep Roughly and our dog products and our motorcycle dog carriers business going, we need time to work. So we basically cram in our 5-day work week into 3 days, and then we ride for 4 days. So it does sort of slow things down for us.
So where can people find out more about you? Where can they support you? How can they support you?
So people can support us in a few ways. One is go to GoRuffly.com. There you're going to see all of the information about the trip. You can donate directly to Girl Up. It goes directly to their organization. We don't see any of that money. It's tax deductible if you're in the U.S., so you can donate and get a tax deduction. The other thing you can do is buy gear from us at GoRuffly.com. 10% of the proceeds will go towards the fundraiser. At GoRuffly, you're going to see at GoRuffly. Just look it up. Same thing with Instagram and Facebook. It's at GoRuffly. And definitely make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to keep us going and to share all of the great stuff that we're doing with everyone.
So there you go. What a wonderful story, Jess and Moxie. Now, since that interview with Moxie, when I bumped into her here in Los Angeles, she then went off on her journey. They made it all the way to the tip of Canada and Alaska. And then they came back down. I also bumped into them again. They were on their way south and into some warmer weather. And then, unfortunately, things started to go a little bit wrong for them because they had a bunch of bad luck. First, the dog tore her ACL while she was running in Baja. Then Greg got hit by a bus in Guatemala and ended up totaling his bike and breaking bones in his hand. I know how that feels. Then Moxie went in for surgery to get her ACL fixed, but there was complications with the surgery, unfortunately, and Moxie passed away. For a while, they didn't know what to do. They came back to the US, but since then, they've really built things up because Triumph got behind them and supplied them with bikes. They had then a great pilgrimage to Moxie, and from that, a new dog has appeared on the back of Jess's motorcycle. Right now, they're at the Darien Gap and on their way to Colombia. Now, I've been to Colombia, got friends in Colombia, so I'm hoping that we can touch base in Bogota and hear the latest escapades from Jess, Greg, and her new dog, Whimsy. So there you go. What a great story. I'd love to hear more from you guys and girls, what you're up to. Tell us all about you. Hit the comments. Send me a message. Instagram or here on YouTube is our best way to get in touch. And just tell us about yourselves because I'd love to feature you on the channel. So, ride safe, ride smart, but most importantly, just go for a ride. And if you like this content, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and also leave a comment. Thanks a lot.